Well, it's that time of year and winter season is now knocking on our door. Let's go and take a look at my winter outlook for this upcoming winter season. We're going to take you out to the Pacific Ocean where we've been monitoring sea surface temperatures. Believe it or not, these actually can play a role in how the weather throughout a winter season is defined across parts of North America. Notice a lot of red right along the equator. Those are sea surface temperatures that are well above average, and it's what we like to commonly refer to as an El Nino. Now, this winter, we are expected to see a strong El Nino winter, and on average, El Ninos shape up like this across the country. It gets pretty wet with a subtropical jet stream across the southern U.S., but more often than not, the Midwest often is typically on the drier side, and that could certainly come into play this year. When we look at the temperature trends with El Nino, polar jet generally stays to the north, but that subtropical jet bringing extra moisture and cloud cover helps keep temperatures a bit on the cooler side for the southern parts of the U.S. Meanwhile, northern U.S. as well as parts of the Midwest, it's not unusual to see temperatures a bit above average. Now, here's the statistical temperature data for Peoria throughout the winter months. And I know there's a lot going on here, but what I want you to pay attention to are the mean temperatures. The mean temperature for December is nearly 31 degrees Fahrenheit. For January, it's 25.5 degrees. And for the month of February, it's at 30 degrees. On average, January tends to be the coldest month of the year. And that's likely going to end up being the case as we go into this year. But when we start to average all these months together, that average temperature is just under 29 degrees. And I want you to remember that because as we head through this winter, when it all comes together, I'm thinking there's a good chance that temperature is going to be above average. And let's break down the monthly snowfall averages for Peoria. On average through the month of October, just 1/10 of an inch of snow. Through the month of November, which we're actually running a bit behind, we average about an 1.5 inches of snow throughout the month of November. But December, January, and February are our snowiest months of the year, especially January, where we average just over 7.5 inches of snowfall through the month. And when it comes to the seasonal average, just over 26 inches of snow. We're not a particularly snowy climate, so we often see snow totals, again, on average, around the 2-foot mark. And I want you to remember that value because look at this. When we look at all the El Ninos, at least the strongest ones on record going back to the 1950s, we find that the stronger events tend to lead to less snow. So right now things are trending towards one of those winters where our temperatures could end up being above average and we could end up with below average snowfall, and that's certainly going to play a role in my upcoming prediction. For December, we're going to show you a model forecast. This is the European model. I think December is actually going to be pretty much a warm month. Not necessarily a super hot month, but it is going to be a warmer than average month across much of the country. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to get cold. It'll probably get cold at times. We'll certainly get a few strong cold fronts coming through. But I think January could end up a little bit below average temperature-wise as we start to see some Arctic air plunging its way further south. So don't be surprised if January ends up slightly cooler than normal, and we might even see a little bit of that hangover heading into early February. But it might be very hard to overcome that very warm start to winter as we hit the month of December. So here's my precipitation outlook. I'm expecting it to be near to below average across the Midwest as we head through the next 3 months. The South is going to be in for above average rainfall, and I do think parts of the West Coast, specifically out of parts of California, seeing above average precip. When it comes to our temperatures, I think the North will more often than not will be on the warm side. When it's all averaged out, I think we're going to have a warmer than normal winter across parts of the Midwest, colder than normal conditions across the South, and you'll also see warmer than normal conditions across the Pacific Northwest. Here's my bold prediction as we hit this upcoming winter. I've already talked about how I suspect we're going to see temperatures that are going to be near to above average locally. We average an average temperature of just under 29 degrees. That may come in around 30, 31 degrees by the end of February. How about our precip? I think we're going to be near to below average. Some of you may end up slightly above, but generally speaking, most of central Illinois is going to be drier than normal. And making a snowfall forecast, big caveat, there's no good way to do this, so I'm taking an educated guess. I do think, though, based on the past trends with past El Nino events, this winter we see below average snowfall. And I think when it's all said and done, that means we are going to fall somewhere between 18 and 24 inches of snow, which, believe it or not, may still be a little bit more snow than what we picked up last winter. For your local weather authority, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Yates. Back to you.